on the sixth film, I was an AD, so I always wanted to work on the crew, and
So
I
you
was
asked for
contracted for
that.
that.
You said, I want to work on the set.
Yeah,
And they were
yeah, that's
like,
right.
you
Yeah,
can do this, right? You're gonna work hard. You had to really
yeah.
convince
Well,
them.
I think they kind of knew that. My work ethic was there and all that kind of stuff. And I'd done a few days on different jobs with the crew before,
All right.
but I was contracted for the whole picture, but I was only going to be needed for about 2 weeks or something out of 9 months. So I just I spoke to my agent and I was like, right, I'm going to ask them to do this instead of like getting me well paid work. I'd rather go and do this. And so I went there and I was a key set PA, and so I actually got my credit on the film. So that's probably my favorite credit. Anyway, I digress.
Wow, that's cool.
We were filming the scene when Dumbledore is up the clock tower. Without giving too much away, it's a very important part of the whole story of the series. And in between takes, Michael was outside having a cigarette, and I was just with him, looking after him, as it were, make sure he didn't run off. And he said to me, "So what are you doing at the weekend?" And I said, "Well, actually, Oliver and myself, we're reading Peter and the Wolf with the Halle Orchestra in Manchester. Um, but I've never read with an orchestra before, so I'm not sure how do you speak in time with the music and all that kind of stuff." And without batting an eyelid, Michael's like, "Oh, I've done that before, that kind of stuff. You got the script with you?" I was like, "Yes." So he literally sat down with me and went through, well, this is where the music's going to come in, pencil that, do this. So I've literally got and he's dressed as Dumbledore, telling me all this as well. So he's talking me through it. So I've got this absolute legend and you'd think he's in full right to be preparing for the scene that he's about to shoot, but he was all about, giving me that time to do that. And it's one of those where I've never forgot that. And I always think that like I said, there's a reason why good actors work so many times.
Yeah, and it's just so you look at a lot of the great actors, and there's some real assholes out there. There's some
Yeah.
monsters. You hear
Sure.
the stories, but for the most part,
Yeah.
the big ones are usually the nice ones that have been around a while. They get it. They're, they have nothing to prove. There's this
Mm.
sort of like, let that go. And it's like, hey, let's pay it forward. And I got to ask about Alan Rickman because, he was just legendary, but he seems to me, from what I've gathered and talked to people, he was a kind man on set, but he was also, if anyone you would fear a little bit or be nervous around, some of the guys or gals would say Rickman was a little intimidating, but he wasn't a jerk or anything. Did you just feel that presence? Like, hello, what is it? Tell me.
I think a little bit. I think it's obviously a lot of the time when we were in close proximity with him, obviously he was in Snape's full getup, which carries its own, presence about it. But no, I always remember he came back from an awards thing, the Oscars or somewhere, and he got an iPod, and it was one of the first iPod Nanos or something like that. And he was like, "I've got this iPod," and we're in hair and makeup. And he's like, how do you make this thing work?" And again, like he's like in full Snape outfit. We're dressed as like Fred and George in their school outfits, and we're there putting music on this iPod. But that was the type of person he was. I'd say like there wasn't these guys are young, don't need to talk to them. There wasn't any of that going on, and there was other stuff which it's not my story to tell, but I've seen him